Hello, hello, and welcome one and all to the Game Savvy Podcast. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Tyler MV, and today we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Scottish Geeks. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad. How's yourself?
Pretty good. Thank you for doing this and sitting down with me. I know you're just getting over the flu, so it's nice to have you here. So if you guys don't know, Scottish Geeks is a YouTuber and Twitch streamer who's played such amazing titles as Bendy and the Ink Machine, Overwatch, Resident Evil 7, more recently The Binding of Isaac, as well as many other games. And you kind of have like a variety and breadth of games that you play on the YouTube channel, correct?
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Mainly because I get bored very quickly. So
yeah, I think a lot of the gamers are the same way.
Yeah.
So before we get into any of the serious questions, I always like to start with a simple question, and it might be one of the most difficult simple questions that you've been ever asked. But before content creation and Twitch and YouTube, we're all gamers and we game for the love of gaming. So what is your favorite video game of all time?
Oh my god, that's a difficult one.
Always stumps everybody.
Yeah, that's like saying what's your favorite variety of air to breathe?
Yeah.
I'm really into my horror games at the moment. It does vary from time to time, but I mean, as for games that I've played more than any others, I would say Outlast is one of my favorites.
Nice, that is a great game.
And for some reason I keep going back to it, and that's The Binding of Isaac. I've racked up about 800 hours worth of gameplay on that so far.
Mm-hmm. And that's from the guy who made Super Meat Boy, right?
That's right.
Yeah, McMillan, yeah, that's a great game too. So, thinking back to the early days when you first started gaming, what's kind of like your earliest memories of getting into video games and the game that kind of like solidified you as a gamer for the rest of your life?
Weirdly enough, and people never believe me when I say this, but I can remember back as far back as when I was 2 years old.
Oh wow!
And going into an arcade and playing Pac-Man.
No way! Pac-Man is the one that did it for you, eh?
Yeah, Pac-Man was the very first game I ever played, but the very first game I ever played at home. A variety of Pong, which was just called video tennis.
Oh wow!
But it was just like a typical sort of like the old one that plugged into the black and white television, and you had the little dials.
Yeah.
Why I did that? But that's the first home console game I remember playing. But the one that really stuck with me was when I got a Spectrum when I was 5 years old.
Spectrum.
And I played Nifty Lifty, and that's one that, for some reason, has never left my mind. It was the worst game imaginable, but it was so much fun when I was that age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, growing up, being born in the early 90s, I was introduced to like Super Mario World as well as Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And so I had some pretty quality games to like solidify me as a gamer for the rest of my life. So, but it's cool. No, like Pong and Pac-Man, those are like some epic classics.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's all we had for a good few years was it was like when you're growing up, and I don't know if you were the same, but when you're growing up, the games that came out when you were a kid were like, oh my god, they can't get any better than this.
Yes.
And then they bring out something new, and it's like, it blows your mind every single time.
And there was that transition there between 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s where it just like skyrocketed. Like I feel like we're somehow hitting more of a peak. Like it's not as evolutionary as more games come out. But, to go from 2D graphics just to 3D graphics was like mind-blowing.
I know. And now it's sort of going the opposite way.
Yeah, almost. Because we're almost even looking for like, all right, what's the next big 2D game? Like if you look at Cuphead that just came out.
Oh, definitely.
It's almost like we're de-evolving, but we're still enjoying it as far as gameplay goes and stuff.
Yeah. I think that was always the problem with the 3D games was they spend more time on graphics than they did on storyline or gameplay. And, I remember back in the day, it was like, games were simple. You didn't have these massive convoluted storylines or anything. It was just like an hour's worth of gameplay and you were done.
Yeah.
And you were happy with it, kind of thing. Nowadays, people want like three or 400 hours worth of gameplay, and it's like, who has the time for that?
Yeah, exactly. So are you primarily like a PC gamer, or do you do console gaming as well?
I do a variety. Up till recently, up till a couple of months ago, I was back to being primarily PC gaming, mainly just for the sheer variety there was and most of the indie games that were out there. But I recently got back into PlayStation gaming. So
nice. So if we were to open up your console or your Steam accounts, what games have you been playing recently?
Console, I've been playing Killzone, which I got for my Christmas, from my second in command, Industrial Angel. And what else have I been playing? I've been playing Sonic Forces as well.
Oh wow, how's that?
It's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people complain about it. It's like, oh, this isn't my Sonic. Like, I grew up with Sonic, like yourself. It's like I've been here since day one.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer every new iteration just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
But on PC, it's been a massive variety. I've been playing a lot of VR games.
Oh, really?
On the Oculus. And unfortunately, my Oculus has to go back to the shop for a little while because there was something wrong with the microphone in it.
Oh,
so they're sending me out a brand new one, but they've got to take a week to get it back to me. It's going to go to Norway for some reason.
That's a long ways to go. But yeah, VR is like an interesting... I haven't had too much time in VR, but at the Capital Gaming Expo that happened here in Ottawa, maybe about a year ago now, I got to try Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Have you played that one?
I have, yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to play with some people. Oh, no?
No, I've put it this way. There was a few times I played it with friends, which went to a lot of arguments, and we decided we were never going to play it again.
It happens.
Yeah.
I find it happens
like,
more with...
instant explosions within the first 30 seconds every single time. So.
That's funny. Yeah, you definitely do need like a good group together to solve that puzzle. What's your most anticipated game coming out in the next little while?
I'm really looking forward to Scorn.
Scorn? What's that one?
I don't know.
Wait, is this the one where it's like a really weird like horror game and everything's kind of meaty? Yeah,
and it's like there's no explanation to it.
Yeah, I think you shared it with me actually. Now that I think about it, yeah, and it does look really weird, but like really interesting at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I've played the demo now, but I still don't know what's going on. I don't know the story behind it, and that's something I'm looking forward to. Is being able to play a game where I can make the story up myself.
Yeah.
It's like they give you the tools to create this universe in your own head.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really interesting, yeah. For me, man, the most anticipated game, I'm really excited for Red Dead Redemption 2. Mm-hmm. I think that like Rockstar killed it with Red Dead Redemption 1. Even my dad is playing Red Dead Redemption. My dad comes from like old British Columbia where he had horses and dreamed of being a cowboy and stuff. And so when he dives into Red Dead Redemption, he gets to be that cowboy he finally always wanted to be. So really excited for Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's a game I've never actually played.
Really? Red Dead Redemption? Oh, it's so good. So good. It's like, it's really, we don't get a lot of Western video games, so it's really nice to be able to jump in and be a cowboy for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. And the storytelling is obviously amazing because Rockstar is so good at that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Rockstar actually originated not too far from me, so...
Oh, wow. No way.
Yeah. And then they've sort of emigrated towards Edinburgh now, so their main studio's in Edinburgh, but they started off in Glasgow just as a small, like, 4-man team or something that made Grand Theft Auto.
Dang, I actually didn't know that. Wow, I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you play the likes of Grand Theft Auto 5, you'll notice there's a hell of a lot of Scottish things in there.
I'm gonna
like, for example, the bank.
Yeah.
Bossack.
Mm-hmm.
Saying Scottish. It's Bossack as in ballsack.
No, okay. I'm just learning these things for the first time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
There's so many Scottish slang words in there that people around the world don't realise, and they're saying it in their streams and everything, and everyone in Scotland sort of sitting there laughing behind their hands, just saying, "You absolute numpty, you don't know what you're saying."
Yeah, that's amazing.
You went up that hill called Old Man's Crack. Seriously.
So how long have you been doing the Twitch and YouTube thing for?
Twitch is a recent thing,
yeah.
Mainly because of the way YouTube's been going just now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with YouTube at the moment. I'm actually what they call a top contributor on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is basically I'm on the creator community forums, and I help other people with their problems on YouTube, things like that. Never take my own advice, though. But the way things have been going with YouTube, with all everything that's going trending and all that, and people getting away with things, it's like people like myself who we just want to entertain.
Yeah.
And we're not getting anywhere. So the transition to Twitch was very easy. Mm-hmm. So it's mostly Twitch I do these days, and then I transfer the footage over to YouTube instead. But in saying that, I want to get back into the whole YouTube thing, and I want to make it work a lot better, and like do proper game reviews, and I'm going to start I'm going to start doing movie reviews and things like that as well.
Oh, that'd be
awesome. Whole thing where I want to do like so bad they're good movies.
Yeah.
Like the old B movies and things like that.
Yeah, have you ever seen Thanksgiving?
I may have seen that in the past, yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but it's such a great, it's bad on purpose though. That's the good thing that's what I love about those movies. So I think you got something there. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. And then you've got those movies that come out where you know for a fact that the writer was taking the mickey.
Yeah.
But the actors are so invested in the roles.
Yeah.
It's like there's really stupid things happening around them. And it's like you can tell like the writer and the director just don't give a shit. And it's like the actors are going, I must give this my all.
Yeah. I'm trying, because they're trying to make it, right? And then the director's just like, I'm just doing this for fun. So that's
Totally.
So what got you into streaming video games in the first place for people?
Well, the whole YouTube thing actually started out when I was in college. It was actually part of a course. We had to do a video for YouTube. And initially with YouTube, in Scotland, calling someone a tube is actually an insult.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we didn't think it was a real site. We thought someone was taking the piss. It was like a YouTube kind of site. It was like a site for insulting people.
Yeah.
Eventually, my media studies lecturer said, no, this is what we've got to do. You've got to make a video, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And that's when I discovered what YouTube was, about 3 years too late.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I started watching people who were doing gameplay videos, the likes of Toby Games and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I used to play video games with my friends. They used to come around, but they don't come around as much anymore. So what I'll do is I'll record the footage and I'll upload it. And then they can watch it at their leisure, because some of them couldn't afford the games I was playing.
It's pretty practical use for the platform.
Yeah. And it just kind of started from there.
Yeah.
And then I did a game called Lucius, which is a sort of a take on The Omen.
Mm-hmm.
And one episode in particular just blew up. It's like, it took about 6 months. It sat 6 months at 3 views. And then all of a sudden it was at 2.5 million views.
Wow.
And I just wished that I'd sort of transferred over to the rest of the channel kind of thing. But I got a ton of subscribers from that, but they stopped watching because I wasn't playing that game anymore. But that's the trick with YouTube, is you've got to get that audience, you've got to keep them hooked. But unfortunately, the audience that watches the video that went viral might not want to watch the videos you're doing then afterwards.
Yeah. It is kind of like fickle that way, almost.
Yeah. It's just a gamble,
Yeah. Because my first couple of videos, the first one I ever did was like 300, the next one was 500, the next one after that was 7,000, and then it's been like 50, 30, 40, like just hovering around those like tens instead of thousands,
Yeah, I mean, that's happened ever since YouTube Red started coming out. I mean, that's something that I noticed, was when YouTube Red started, the views plummeted. I mean, I was getting about 10 to 20,000 views a day.
Yeah.
And then the very day that YouTube Red started, my views just went down to 40 to 50 views a day.
Wow.
Across a channel with over 1,000 videos on it.
Yeah. And that just kind of disregards all the hard work that you kind of put into everything. That's
unfortunate. I mean, that's what I'm saying about the whole thing with the preferred YouTubers at the moment.
Yeah. And what's funny too is later on in this interview, I do have industry hot takes, and one of them is about YouTube. But I think we've pretty much answered a lot of them. But we'll get back to that. That's fine. Yeah, so Scottish Geeks, the name, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but does it come from somewhere?
It's actually the third channel that I've had. The first two kind of went belly up. And what happened was, at the beginning of it, there was actually 3 or 4 of us, and it was a group of us who were Scottish, we were geeks.
Uh-huh.
We just wanted to do honest reviews of things. And then after a month of hard work, the rest of them decided they didn't want to do it anymore, and they would rather be out playing football and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it just came to me, and then by that point, the name had sort of stuck in my head, and anytime I tried to say anything other than Scottish Geeks, it just didn't feel right. So the plural remained for some reason, and I kind of wish it had a different name now, because it's not exactly one that people really look up. I mean, it's not like the likes of Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, where you can call them by their name. But, it is what it is, and I'm Scottish, I'm a geek, so there we go.
It works. No, I always find that, names mean nothing unless you make it mean something, right? If somebody came to me and they were like, I'm starting a company and I'm calling it Apple, I would say that's the worst company name in the world, especially when you're selling phones. Why would you try and compete with fruit if you're selling phones? So it is really just what you make of it. So I personally like Scottish Geeks. I think it's very self-explanatory. It says who you are. you know? So I don't know. I like the name, so I hope you keep it. I hope you blow up. And also, I want to say that you seem very like natural and well spoken when you stream. Is that something that you try to like portray? Like, is it something like a character you've made, or is that how you are just like naturally?
Naturally, I'm actually very shy.
Yeah.
I suffer from severe sort of social anxiety issues. I'm not very good at talking in public. But when it came to the camera, I used to act. I used to do TV and things like that. So I used to be in theatre. So the one trick I learned was to never look directly into a camera. Look behind the camera at a wall or something. It's like if there's an audience, look up to the lights so that it blinds you and you can't see the audience. Just be yourself. And eventually, what happens is this little switch in your head that says, "Don't think before you speak." And you've got to learn to switch that off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have to run your mouth the entire time, because otherwise it's like you're going to have a ton of dead space when you're talking.
Yeah, and it is really tough. Yeah.
So if you look at like some of my earlier videos, I was very quiet. I was like, "Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Scottish Geeks." Kind of like,
because you don't want to slip up and make a mistake.
Yeah.
So you're overthinking every single word you say.
But it's like anything else; it just takes practice. I mean, the more you do it, the better you get. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think they're going to be amazingly well spoken and, you know, cheerful and happy every time they play. But there are times where you're maybe sitting there and there's a game you're playing, you really don't want to play it.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the same enthusiasm for the video as you would for any other video, whether you like the game or not. As long as you're honest about it, that's the way I see it. Is like, you can be as enthusiastic when you're talking, but as long as you're honest about what you're playing, that's the main point.
And do you feel there's a difference between pre-recorded videos that go on YouTube versus live streaming on Twitch?
Oh, definitely. Live streaming is actually easier.
Really?
Because you've got people to interact with. So you're not just, you don't have to talk as much. And it took me a while to learn that. You don't actually have to talk as much. You can sit and enjoy the game, and you look at the chat, and then people will be saying something, and you can join in with the conversation that they're having. Or you can start a conversation of your own. As opposed to when you're recording and everything is just you versus the wall, behind the camera, where you are literally pretending that you're talking to however many hundreds of people who are not actually there.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually really interesting to me. Because I would think that live streaming would be, you'd have to double overthink what you're trying to say, right? You'd have to make sure that you're not making it low. No PewDiePie mistakes, if you know what I mean. Like saying something really bad in the middle of gameplay. So that's crazy. Wow. Okay. I've never live streamed before, so I've always like wondered what's the difference between pre-recorded and... So that's really cool.
The thing is, it's just learning to relax to do it. I mean, one of the things you can do, like on Twitch, is as long as you're not putting the videos over to YouTube, is you can have like song requests and things like that. And yes, the footage might be sort of muted afterwards, but during the stream, people are in there, they're listening, they're having a good time. It's more of a sense of being with friends than it is by being by yourself, if you know what I mean. It's like going around to your friend's house and having a good time with them. Sometimes you're talking and you're chatty, sometimes you're concentrating on the game, sometimes you just join in with a conversation. It's just trying to get that sort of level of relaxation inside yourself, where you're thinking to yourself, look, I'm not forcing this. If I try and force it, it's going to look bad.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. That's some good advice. Just be yourself. It's not easy for a lot of people to just like, oh, I'm just going to go be myself. And a lot of people do develop like characters online and stuff. And you see like big Twitch streamers who just won the Gamer of the Year or something at the Game Awards. He's like a character online. And yeah. So
the thing is, there is a difference between your real life self and your online persona. I mean, obviously you're not going to be 100% like completely yourself online, because there are some things in your life you want to keep back from that online thing, and you do need to have a sort of, the way I described it to someone is like you after your third beer.
That's a great way to put it, actually. Yes. Yeah.
And if you don't drink, well, ask someone who does.
Yeah, because it's almost like that wall just kind of like comes down, right? There's always this wall saying, hey, stop, like think about what you're doing, but then after the third beer, the wall kind of goes away and you just talk.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm the funniest guy in the world.
the version of you that will go up and make friends easily, kind of
Yeah.
thing. You'll go up to someone at a bar and you go, all right, mate, how's it going? Yeah, let's have a drink.
So you've played a number of games on your channel, but I noticed you do kind of gravitate towards the horror genre. Is there like a reason for that, or it just happens to be coincidence?
The reason behind that is because I've discovered to, you know, my delight, the horror games, and I like horror movies. The horror games give me a sense of what it would be like to be in a horror movie and not make the mistakes that the horror movie characters do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I'm not going to run away slowly going, oh, my ankle. I'm going to turn around and punch the monster in the face.
Yeah.
You know, if I have that option. Or, you know, I'm not going to hide in the easily sort of visible locker. I'm going to hide in a big row of lockers and make them work for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's more just sort of, it's like a childhood dream realised kind of thing of, I'm not going to be that person who sits at the back and waits for the monster to kill them.
And it's funny too, because you do say that, I think, in your Twitter bio, where it says like, I fear no monster, or something like that. Or, yeah. So that comes across.
That actually came about quite quickly. The more horror games you play, the less scared you get.
Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm.
To the point where sometimes something will happen in a game where a monster will run up to you, and instead of going, you know, instead of doing the sort of stereotypical, oh, I'm going to scream and fall off my chair, you just sit there and go, boy, get my face. Seriously? You know, actually, the one video that I actually started with was I was playing Alien Isolation.
Yeah, that's a great game.
And see, you say that, but
well, I mean, like the experience that I had with it, playing with a group of guys, and we were all terrified out of our minds. It was pretty good. Not a great game, but you know what I mean.
Well, put it this way: the first time the alien appeared properly, you know, about an hour and a half into the game, and jumped down out of the vents, it took one look at my character and ran off in the opposite direction, screeching. I just sat there going,
"Well,
I didn't say it."
That's not what that's supposed to do.
No. And then later on, there was this weird part where there was just a gun floating in midair, and every time you went close to the gun, this exciting music started up. As you backed away, it slowed down again. So I spent about 5 minutes of one of the episodes going towards the gun and away from the gun.
Wow,
just
that's
sort of like, wow, this is no, I'm not playing this anymore.
Scary for a different reason.
Yeah.
So, what's been your favorite game to stream so far, or record on YouTube?
Stream wise, surprisingly enough, I hate myself for saying it, I've really enjoyed playing Minecraft in VR.
Oh yeah, okay. I can see that being a great experience.
Mainly because I can't see what's happening in the stream, and I'm in a little world of my own kind of thing. But
yeah.
It's just been relaxing. It's been, you know, there's been no stress behind it, and this time of year is something you need, is something a bit de-stressing, because this time of year everyone's stressed out with the holiday season and, you know, advertisers and the latest adpocalypse or whatever the hell it's called these days.
Yeah.
So you want to play something that's just going to be relaxing and something that other people can join in and say, oh, you're doing this wrong. Can you build somewhere over there? And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, for streaming, I mean, recently it's been Minecraft, but it just depends. I vary it quite a lot. Like you said, I mean, I like to play a variety of games, so it basically just depends what I'm playing at the time. Mm-hmm. I'm considering starting Stardew Valley soon, just to see what that's like.
Well, that's a great game. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
what I would suggest is don't look at any walkthroughs. I made the mistake of like looking up some walkthroughs and guides, and then I did everything really fast in like 2 seasons, and there was like nothing left to do. And I was like, oh, I ruined the game.
See, I never do that. I always play games blind.
Yeah, and for the most part, I do too. Like, I just went through Breath of the Wild completely blind, but for Stardew, there's a couple things where I was like, let me just like look it up, and during the day at work and stuff, and I'd just be like Googling little tips here and there, and then I just completely broke it, so.
Yeah. Apparently they're bringing out some new expansions for that soon anyway, so.
Yeah, so that might be a new thing to jump into. So
yeah, something to do with a boat or something.
What's your favorite part about being a gamer online so far?
The fact I could share it with people. The fact I could share my experiences and show people the games that I love, and also show people the games that I don't like so much as well. But I'll always say to people, make up your own minds about games. I might like something that you might hate, but just because I like it doesn't mean you should have to.
Yeah.
It's just my own personal opinion. You can enjoy watching me play something, but it doesn't mean you have to play it for yourself, you know? Mm-hmm. Or you might love something that I play that I absolutely hate, and yeah, sure, berate me for it or whatever, but just realize these things are my opinions. But I mean, that's one of the things I do love about it, is the fact that the community comes together, and it's like being back in school where the latest game came out, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you got to play this game!" And there's other folk going, "No, no, 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 you got to play it in this console instead." It's like a sort of console wars, but just for singular games now, but less angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's great. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit here, and I'm gonna ask you about some industry hot takes, if you're cool with that. And we're going to start with microtransactions. What do you think of the current discussion surrounding microtransactions, the whole kind of EA deal?
I think it's a discussion that should have happened in day one of microtransactions. I remember very vividly the very first time a microtransaction annoyed me, and that was BioShock 2.
Wow, interesting.
I used to get given a lot of games to do, like, articles on before the whole YouTube thing. So I did articles for a website called Video Game UK. No longer exists, but they used to send us through all these games with, like, it's like they give you all the codes and everything pre-packed. And what happened was I got this BioShock 2, and then they had the multiplayer section, and then I noticed something on it. There was like there was a note on the back of it saying, "Please do not discuss DLC." I was like, what the hell's DLC? So I had to look this up. So the downloadable content, what the hell's downloadable? Oh, you mean an expansion pack? Because that's what they were called at that point. But no, this is DLC. And what had happened was that the DLC was a code to unlock what was already on the disc. So the game came complete. You paid £40, £50 or whatever for the game. And then you were expected to pay a further $15 or £15 or whatever for this DLC, which was already on the disc. This wasn't anything that had been made later on to improve the game. This was something that they had purposely locked away and forced you to pay for. And this annoyed me so much that I gave BioShock 2 one of the worst reviews I'd ever given a game before in my life. And I loved the game. I just hated what they did with it.
Yeah.
It's like, if I bought this disc with all this information on it, I should have access to that information without having to pay any further money. And that was the beginning of my hatred for downloadable content of that sort. I don't mind things where a game will come out in a year or 6 months to a year down the line. They'll say, "Oh, by the way, we've been working really hard and we brought you out some extra levels." That's fine.
Yeah.
But when a game comes out with the DLC already attached to it, no. It's just ridiculous, It's like, yeah, some people might want some extra skins for their characters or, paint jobs for their weapons and things like that. But what folk don't seem to realise is 4 months down the line after you've boarded the game, you paid all this money for the extra stuff that you're never ever going to touch again.
Yeah.
And it's not real physical sort of things. I mean, yeah, I know most games are digital these days, but at least when you bought a game, you've got the game to play. But whereas if you buy a paint job for your gun, what is it? It's like $5 for something you could probably have coded yourself. So DLC, I'm not a big fan of from day one. And this recent thing with pay to win, I'm okay with that as long as the game's free.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one of the points that I always make is, back in the day, this goes back to even when Barbie was a really popular doll, right? It first came out in the 1950s. They would sell Barbie and take a loss on the doll, and they make all their money on the accessories. So they would use that as a loss leader, and then microtransaction all her clothes and hair products and stuff like that. And so I think that the problem is that EA right now is using that model, but not giving the doll away for free or for cheap. You're paying full price and then having to pay more for stuff that you should have already got in the full package, right? Like if you're going to sell me Barbie for full price and make it even extra expensive, then I expect to get some clothes with that. I expect to get some hair products, I feel like EA has this like weird hybrid in between strategy that's just angering everybody.
It's using the same analogy, it's sort of like, it's like kid with not too much money gets their Barbie, very, very happy with it, playing with it in the schoolyard or whatever, and then all of a sudden rich kid comes up with their Barbie with optional lasers, melts down the other kid's Barbie, and they can't play with it anymore.
Yeah. And that's almost like pay to win.
Yeah, it's like it's like a whole rewarding the rich.
Yeah.
You know, and the folk who can't afford it but want to play it are going to pay money out through the nose to try and get to that level because they enjoy the game, where they're going to end up in debt.
Yeah.
You know, and it might not seem like an awful lot of money to folks like, oh, come on, it's like, what, $10 for a loot box, really? But when you add it up, it's like, someone, I think, added it up to about, was it $20,000 to get all the accessories and things for the Barbie.
Yeah.
And once you've paid all that out, I mean, a lot of people, because they are such diehard gamers, will put themselves in debt for it, and I think that's wrong. You know, it's like Destiny 2. I liked Destiny 2 when it first came out. I was so excited for it because it looked like something I really wanted to get into and really wanted to play. I completed it in an hour.
Yeah, wow.
And then it was nothing after that. It was nothing but, you know, you could collect this gun, but let's go to the store and see how much we can get you to pay for it instead. And then, of course, the DLC came out, and then everything got sort of capped and locked off, and then I haven't touched it since.
Yeah, I would like when Destiny 1 first came out, I was so excited for it. It was kind of a letdown. I was going to wait to see how people reacted to Destiny 2, but everybody was saying it was more of the same from Destiny 2, and so I kind of stayed away. I haven't even played it, to be honest. I haven't even thought about buying it because just the reaction has been so bad. And I find a lot of the good companies, what they do is that they under-promise and over-deliver, and that's how they create like really trusting gamers. And Destiny's one of those games. Bungie's one of those studios that kind of over-promises and under-delivers every time.
See, I think the main issue with video game companies today, the AAA ones more so, is they don't consider what makes a good game. They consider what's going to bring them in money.
Yeah.
And that is the mistake they make. Because I mean, like, you were in the 90s, I was the 80s, but in the same thing always rang true, was we would play a game that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
We didn't care whether a company was making money. I mean, the companies, the AAA companies don't seem to realise that. We as consumers don't give a damn how much they make. We just want to play a game. And if the game, say, costs $20 to buy, and then has 3 or 4 months down the line, $10 DLC or $20 DLC, fine, we'll pay it. But we don't want to, as consumers, we don't want to buy. And I'm going to use a different analogy here. I don't want to buy an apple and then have to, you know, pay for something to cut it open.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have to pay for teeth to eat it with. You know.
And they're like, in saying that, there are some companies that do it extremely well. Like, for example, CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 3 and how they did that. Like, they did a fantastic job in making this really high quality single player story driven game, and then releasing free DLC to kind of entice people to buy the original product and get more players from it. Rockstar did the exact same thing. Nintendo's actually going to be my next question, but there are some companies doing it well. It just seems to be these few, like EA, who just seem to fuck it up like all the time.
Yeah,
they just can't seem to get it right, and I think it's more because they're focused on their shareholders rather than what gamers really care about.
Yeah, I mean, EA are primarily sports related. They're sports driven, and in the sporting world, that is a thing. For example, you go to a football match or a soccer match or whatever you want to call it, and you go in and you don't just go to the football match. You go in and you buy like the silly hats, the hot dogs, the drinks, the preferred seats, you know, the noisemakers and stuff. So technically, EA is a football stadium. They want you to go in and they want you to buy everything before the match even starts.
Yeah.
And then when the match is over, they want you to come out and buy even more stuff on your way out to make the match memorable to you. And that's the way they seem to work. Whereas the indie games are like going to the cinema. You can go in, you can watch the movie, and yes, there's an option of buying food, but you don't have to make it any more enjoyable. You can go in, you can watch the movie, you can come out, and then it comes out in DVD with the optional extras 6 months down the line. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think we nailed it. I think, you know, microtransactions, there are certain companies doing it well, certain companies not doing it well. EA is a piece of crap for now until they change what they're doing. But let's talk about Nintendo for a second. So with the release of the Nintendo Switch, have you had the pleasure of playing a Nintendo Switch?
I have not. I've seen them in the shops, but I think my hands are too big for the controllers.
I thought so too, but I got one maybe I guess when Breath of the Wild first came out, because my brother and my dad and I are huge like Zelda fans. Back in the day, Ocarina of Time was like our favorite game, so ended up getting a Switch. So with the release of the Nintendo Switch and really high quality games like Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and then more recently them winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards, do you think Nintendo's back on top?
I think Nintendo are going to do what Nintendo always does. They're going to bring out something innovative and inventive, and they're going to run with it for as long as they can, and someone else is going to come out and do it better.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. When I think about it, that has happened a lot.
Yeah, Nintendo are the innovators of the gamers world. Mm-hmm. They'll come out with the most amazing ideas, and then someone else, for example, like, okay, we'll say Nintendo's a telephone. Nintendo comes out with the telephone, someone comes out with the mobile. Mm-hmm. People still use the telephone, but they prefer the mobile.
Yeah.
You know, but Nintendo's made their money by that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving on to the next thing.
And the one thing Nintendo has going for them is always going to be Mario and Zelda and Metroid and just like those huge franchises that are killer apps for the platform, I would think.
Yeah. Another thing is I've noticed that Nintendo are slowly pushing you to move outside of the house to play your games.
Yeah.
We're going to ignore the handheld consoles because we're just going to go for the main consoles. So we started off with the NES, where as close up to television as possible.
Yeah.
You know, playing your games. Then the Super Nintendo came out. You're slightly further away because there's longer wires. Then the N64 comes out with the option of, you know, infrared controller option and stuff, and you've got like 4 ports for more players to come and join in with you, so there's a sort of social aspect come to that. Mm-hmm. Then there's the Wii, where the controller is completely just like your body is the controller, getting you to exercise.
Yeah.
You know, so that's your exercise stage happening. Then the Wii U came out, and it's like, hang on, this could work. We could possibly make them want to go outside a bit more. Then the Nintendo Switch comes out, and hey, you know, forget the television, go outside and have fun and enjoy your games.
Yeah, that is a really interesting point. Something I never thought of up until this point. I wonder, I wonder if Nintendo's intentionally done that. They're just like, you know what, let's get them as far away from the television as possible over time.
I reckon like the next Nintendo product will be some sort of like, it'll be like a bike or something, where the faster you cycle, the further you get in the game.
Yeah, I do have to say one thing about the Nintendo Switch is that I never played the Wii because I felt the Wii was more like, we need you to use the Wii the way the Wii needs to be used, if that makes sense. Whereas the Switch is like, you can use the Switch however you prefer. And like that fluidity of technology and like having that flow of gameplay for gamers makes it a much more desirable product. So that when I come home, I can play on my TV and play on my console, or I can go downstairs and be cooking dinner and then playing while dinner's cooking, right? Using the tablet. So I do have to say that I think they've really nailed it with the Switch and having that like flow of gameplay throughout your day.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, one reason I haven't got one was I've got this thing where I think to myself, like, tablets, how long's the battery going to last? For the amount I would probably play it for. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I haven't found it to be too bad. I mostly play on my TV anyways, though. But in the times that I do take it downstairs, I haven't had a single problem with it in terms of battery life. So
yeah.
So I don't know, man. Might be something to think about. It's pretty fun. So switching topics, and I think this is one you're going to have a lot to say on. You've already said a lot on it, but the state of YouTube. So what does the future of YouTube look like?
If YouTube keeps going the way it's going, nothing will happen to them because they're the only ones out there that are actually doing what they're doing. Literally. They have no real competition. They have a monopoly over the video market. Mm-hmm. And that is the main issue that YouTube has. They think they're untouchable. I mean, you've seen what happened to the likes of VidMe and even Dailymotion or Vivo or whatever the hell the other one's called. I can't remember. Begins with a V.
Vimeo?
Vimeo, that's the one.
Yeah.
They're there, but they're non-entities.
Yeah.
People post there when they can't post to YouTube.
I would say almost YouTube is like complacent because they think that there's no competition, and yet you have Facebook who's making a huge video push. Like today I was watching a video on YouTube, on Facebook, and halfway through the video an ad played. And I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen that on a Facebook video before. That was just today. And so I know that Facebook's making a huge investment, even in original content. Like I think you'll be able to watch television shows on Facebook eventually, because they have like signed their first original piece, like a Netflix original, but for Facebook almost. And so, Facebook's right on their tails.
The issue with Facebook and other platforms is that they don't have the ease of getting in to be partnered to the same way as YouTube does or Twitch does or things like that. YouTube and Twitch have made it very, very easy. I mean, even Mixer, they've made it easy as well. The sites that make it easier for people to go and watch and people to go and upload and record and actually make money off of, whether it be pennies or millions of dollars or pounds or whatever, are the ones that's going to win. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the issue I've got with YouTube right now isn't so much that they've got this monopoly. The issue I've got is who they have set up as their preferred partners, and they're pushing the smaller creators down. And people think when I say smaller creators, I'm talking about people under 10,000 subscribers and stuff like that. No, smaller creators is people under 1 million subscribers now.
Yeah.
If you're under 1 million subscribers, you really have to have a core audience who believe in what you do, who want to share what you do. And the problem with that is that the most of the people who watch YouTubers these days are other YouTubers, and they don't want to promote anyone else.
Yeah.
They just want to promote themselves. And it becomes a sort of vicious circle of, why haven't you promoted my video? Why haven't you promoted my video? It's like you've got to draw a line in the sand somewhere and just say, well, look, I'm going to put this video up and I hope people watch it.
Yeah. Kind of a crabs in a bucket mentality on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not for the lack of decent content out there. There's some really, really awesome creators out there who just don't get the time of day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the likes of this, and I'm sorry for giving him any airtime here, but Logan Paul.
Yep, I actually had a Logan Paul question, but I erased it because I was like, I don't want to talk about him. But if you want to talk about him, we can do it.
Well, the main thing I'm going to say about him is that I don't think he did that alone.
No,
Because recently there's a YouTube Red show came out about dead bodies, about someone finding a dead body. Very coincidentally.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And whether that was real in that forest or not, I think it was an advert.
Yeah.
To promote this new YouTube Red thing. And unfortunately, he did it. And the guy's an idiot. I mean, I'm not going to deny the guy is a complete and utter idiot. He's just lucky.
Mm-hmm.
He's made money, and he doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't know how to handle it. So he has got thrown under the bus, and quite rightly so. He could have said no. Whereas, there's other folk on YouTube doing very similar sort of things, and they're not getting any sort of punishment. And it's just, I think the way the YouTube should work is if there are a set number of rules, which there are, it's in your terms and conditions, your terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
If those rules apply to one, they should apply to all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If I do something bad on YouTube, I would expect to get a community guidelines strike and have 6 months of no adverts or 10-minute long videos, and I would happily take it if I did something wrong. But you see these massive YouTubers, and they flaunt the rules all the time. It's like, don't use copyright material, and they play full songs.
Yeah.
And oops, I didn't mean to do that. Really, you spend that amount of time recording, editing, and putting a video up. That was planned. Seriously. Yeah. Whereas, for example, if I put on a 3-second clip of my favourite song, I'd get decimated for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a small channel, and they don't think people like myself would complain about it, but we do.
Yeah.
And that's starting to happen more often as the smaller channels are standing up and saying, hey, look, we've had enough. Stop picking on us. Go after the big boys for a change.
Yeah. So if you had any advice for somebody getting into YouTube or streaming and stuff, what would you say to them?
Really depends on what they want to do. If they want to get into it seriously and they want to make money from it, I'd say stop and rethink. Mm-hmm. Because there is no money in it. You really have to be someone who is going to get those 50 million subscribers in a few months to make the leeway. It's a thankless job. Mm-hmm. But in the same respect, it's also very satisfying, So make sure you know what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And go with it. Don't think to yourself, I'm going to do this because someone else has done it. Do what you want to do. If you want to play a certain game, play that certain game. Don't do it because someone else is doing it. And be yourself. Don't copy any other personalities, because you'll get nowhere fast if you're not who you should be.
Mm-hmm. And if you could say one thing to anyone listening to this podcast as to what you do, why you do it, and why you love it, what would you say?
I do it because I've got this motto: if I can make at least one person smile a day, I've done my job right. And that's the reason I do it, is because I want to make someone smile. I want to make someone's day. They can watch me, and I could be the grumpiest git in the world, and as long as they have a chuckle at it, or they have a smile that, you know, it's just lifted them a little bit. That's what I want to see. I want to see people saying, you know, like, I was having a bad day, but you made me laugh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Get a thing. You know, that's it. That's, to me, that's the most gratifying thing, as, you know, having someone watch your content and enjoy it. You know, the money and stuff is just icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't, literally, I'm lucky if I make it like £1 a month or something.
No, that's awesome.
I'm not even allowed to tell you that, so.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Well, Mr. Geek, sir, it was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me, having this wonderful discussion about video games and YouTubing and Twitch streaming. Maybe if there are any listeners that you want to connect with, what's the best way that you can keep up with you and your content?
Basically, they can follow me on Twitter at ScottishGeeks, or they can check out my YouTube channels, Scottish Geeks, which used to be the gaming channel, but now is everything else.
Yeah.
And Scottish Geek Plays, which is now the gaming channel. Same as the Twitch one as well. It's also Scottish Geek Plays. These are the main places you'll find me.
Awesome. So thanks again so much. I personally think we killed that interview. Huh? Oh, a little Scottish pun, if you will. And take care, everyone. Stay savvy. That's it, man. It's the podcast. Easy peasy.
I've been down to sneeze the entire time.